easy, fun snacks. This might be something that you're lounging either inside or enjoying outdoors, in your backyard as you're grilling with your family. And as, COVID restrictions become a little bit looser, perhaps some friends. So popcorn is one of those yummy, delicious snacks, but usually comes high in sodium. And so we wanted to feature, again, a recipe, what is healthy eating? What does it look like? How can you enjoy food, but also make it healthy? Okay. And having a low sodium diet is part of that. And so we're focusing on making your own popcorn that has no sodium in it. Although store-bought ones tend to, incorporate more of that. So when you're doing it on your own, you're in control. And this is a really yummy, delicious recipe that takes no time. And Jeremy, walk us through.
Yeah. So, popping popcorn, not, super intricate chefy technique, but I don't think many people are popping from scratch anymore and popping from the kernels or relying on that like microwave popcorn like Steph talked about, or they even have it already bagged and popped for you. They're just trying to make it as convenient as possible. But getting back to popping on your own, it is really, really easy. It's one of our favorite snacks actually here, and super simple. So what we're doing is taking a pot, and over medium heat, we're going to add an oil. And again, try to choose one of those higher smoke point oils, so something like a grapeseed oil, like a sunflower canola oil that will take a little bit more heat, because we definitely don't want it to smoke. If it does smoke, clean it out, let it cool, clean it out, and start again. Yeah, higher smoke point oil, about like a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half, and just throw in like half a cup of kernels. Give it a little bit of a shake, and then what I do is put the lid on just slightly ajar like this. Okay, and once it starts to pop, you can close the lid and give it a little bit of a shake. Just like carefully use a dish towel, give it a little bit of a shake so that the kernels are evenly coated, and then just let it work its magic. And again, once you after you give it a shake, just give it a little bit of a space open at the top here, just slightly ajar, and that helps the steam to release, so you don't get sort of soggy popcorn and you get crispy popcorn, because that's what we want. We don't want soggy popcorn, we want crispy popcorn. So let that pop away. Once you stop hearing it pop, you're good to go. No magic there, and you have this beautiful popcorn, which you can season up whatever way you like. So if we're trying to, reduce the amount of salt that we use, experiment. Use something like maybe some herbs, maybe use some nutritional yeast is a really nice, fun one. It's got that sort of like cheesy savoriness to it, which is great. Smoked paprika, one of my favorites, and you have this like almost like smoky barbecue kind of flavor. Again, there's no salt added to those, so you can sort of dress them as you like. With this one here, we're gonna get a little bit more desserty. We're gonna up the game a little bit just to show you what else you can do. And this is our take on like a caramel popcorn, like those nice crunchy comfort food caramel popcorns. It's one of my favorites, so it's one of my comfort foods anyways. And what we're going to be using is some maple syrup. So what I have done...
What makes it Canadian?
Exactly. This is our Canadian popcorn.
Hey, and Canada Day is coming. What a perfect recipe for Canada Day.
Exactly. Perfect time to use it for sure. And so what we're doing is I have some, and I'll bring you over. We have a mobile camera here, might as well. All right, and can you see it okay? Perfect. So I added a little bit of maple syrup. This is about 3 tablespoons, depending on how much you want to use. And I've got it over a medium heat. And what I'm doing is I want it to simmer. I want it to boil a little bit. So right now, you can see the bubbles are happening pretty fast. That means that there's still quite a bit of water left in this. In order to get it to a state where it's more like a caramel and we have something a little bit more like harder, I want to get rid of as much of that water as possible. So if we simmer it like this for about 2 minutes, and you're going to start to see the bubble start to slow down and get a little bit bigger, then we know that we're getting most of that water out and it's ready to sort of add to our popcorn.
Yeah, I love the nutritional yeast. Sometimes I put it with lemon or lime. So that's a really great option. And again, you're avoiding having lots of that sodium, that salt as flavor. And I will say that, again, like people might be experiencing taste changes. So that's a whole other ball game, because in those cases, if you have low, you're experiencing a bland taste, it might be hard for you to, you need those flavors to up the ante of whatever you're eating. Okay. And so for some people that means salt, but what we're showcasing is that you don't need salt for flavor. And I find that our palate sometimes, that's like the go-to. It's the easiest thing. I mean, it may take some time to readjust. But again, like any herbs, smoked paprika, awesome. These are all definitely different ways to flavor your food.
Now, Stephanie, you mentioned, actually both you and Jeremy mentioned, did you call it nutritional
yeast? So that's something that you could find in any grocery store. It actually is it kind of tastes like Parmesan cheese. It has that savory taste. And the nutritional benefits is that it's high in vitamin B12. And this plays a role in, your blood and decreasing tiredness. Okay, if you're low in B12, people might find that they have low energy. So making sure that you're getting enough of that is definitely something to look out for. And vitamin B12 is usually found in animal-based foods, and nutritional yeast is basically one of the only additional natural foods where you would find plant-based vitamin B12.
Okay, so right now, I know it's a little hard to see, but the bubbles, you can see they're much larger. They're much bigger, and they're getting a lot slower. So this is the point where I know most of my water is already gone, and I'm getting to that sort of harder caramel state. And we can now add some flavors to this as well. So another one of my favorites is cinnamon. And so this is a great opportunity to add a little bit of ground cinnamon right into that maple syrup. Give it a little stir here. You can see it's a lot slower now. It's not swooshing around as quickly, right? And it's also important to remember that anytime we're working with hot sugar, be very, very careful, okay? Especially with maple syrup, you don't want to touch it. So make sure there's no kids around, and do it safely. But we added our cinnamon, and so we have this beautiful maple syrup cinnamon that's ready to go on top of our popcorn. And I'll just get a little spoon to make it easier. And you can see I've laid the popcorn out on a little bit of parchment, which is always a good idea because you do not want this to stick.
Now, this would be the part, Jeremy, that I just wrap it all around the spoon and let it harden just a little bit and cool off. And
yeah,
not very healthy.
You can definitely do that with the leftover. But what's nice here is, again, we're working with a very healthy snack to begin with, right? Stuff like popcorn is a whole grain too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Great way to get fiber in. And again, obviously this is not something maybe you would have every day for your snack because it is sweeter, and you do want to pay attention to the amount of added sugar that you're having throughout your day. And really it's about, maintaining your weight, and, having lots of sugary foods will definitely increase the calories, which might, increase weight. So you want to stabilize and, stay active, etc. But again, this is a special occasion, right? Summer's here, and you want to be able to enjoy things, and this is a good option if you're watching the sodium that you're intaking.
I know we're almost out of time, and that looks absolutely delicious. I just have one quick question. Is maple syrup better, glycemically, than white sugar, and it's natural, or is that just a myth?
Sugar is sugar. You know, yes, the glycemic index of maple syrup is slightly lower than, let's say, honey. But we don't eat things raw on their own. You're never going to have a whole spoonful, or maybe you will, but you know, in a regular day-to-day, you're not having that much, you know, spoonfuls of maple syrup, spoonfuls of brown sugar on its own. In this case, you're including it with something that's high in fiber. So that's actually, we call it the glycemic load, which is the combination of different factors. And fiber and protein and actually healthy fats help to reduce that glycemic load. Okay, so again, you know, you might have a banana, which may have a higher glycemic index, but you're having it with a piece of whole grain toast or Greek yogurt, right? Which again, these are things that will bring down that glycemic index. So again, just general healthy eating tips, and emphasizing over and over and over again the importance of balance.
Thank you.
All right, and I don't know if you caught that little swap in and out, but we let that popcorn cool just for like 5 minutes, just so that that maple syrup can harden a little bit. And then at that point there, you can sort of take, it'll sort of cluster together into these nice little pieces here. And so you can sort of take it off of the parchment and toss it into a bowl. And this is, again, you can make this almost like a trail mix, right? You can add some nice, you know, almonds to this or some dried fruit and, you know, make it kind of fun. But on its own, this is super tasty.
I think it's going to be one of my new favorite recipes, Jeremy. My family will love it. They'll love it.
It's super easy to do. And you have this really nice, it's a desserty snack, right? Like Steph said, this is a once in a while type of indulgence, but it is definitely a delicious treat. And with that being said, that is our last recipe, our third recipe. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you so much, you two. I look forward to the next time. Thank you.